Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels. My guest today, kind of for the second time, because she and Jaime played Bloody Mary and Scary Gary way back for the Santos Sisters Halloween special. But it's Katie Skelly, and this is the first time we get to talk. So, Katie, it's great to have you. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you've got a busy week. You were up in Portland and Washington. And I've got you just before you run off to secret headquarters and then down to San Diego Comic Con. So
That's
like
right.
how is the book release going?
I would say it's going very well. And
Okay.
I have I've gotten feedback on the book that is very positive, very encouraging, just the things that you want to hear. So I'm very happy about that. And yeah, you know what the amazing thing is, like, beyond, sales and appearances and all that stuff, people are picking up on what I only hoped they would pick up on in the book, and that just makes me feel really great. That feels like a big accomplishment. So I'm super happy right now. I can't wait to do this signing. I can't wait to go to Comic-Con, and I'm so thrilled.
Well, but before like when I was trying to figure out how to talk to you, it was a challenge because A, your comics are they need to be read. They need to be read. I don't even know how to talk about your comics.
Mhm.
Because of those layers, because of the fact that I'm now debating whether I ask the question, well, what are they picking up on that you were hoping that you're picking up on? Or wait a minute, no, that's almost like ruining the book.
I don't think it would ruin the book necessarily. It's just these little details about the characters, and really, I don't think they're echoing anything that would spoil the book. Just like the mood
Okay.
of it. They're just really getting the mood, and that feels awesome.
Okay. I mean, the mood to me is one of like quiet desperation, but without being willing to give up on hope.
Yeah, I like that.
Um, it's uniquely teenage but adult at the same time, which is a hard thing to pull off.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You
It's
know,
like,
go ahead.
yeah, no, it's definitely a tightrope, and I had to make a lot of decisions about, like, these are young characters. How sort of willing am I to take this into a really dark place? And what I found as I was writing is that it didn't feel worth it, like really just dragging them all to hell. It felt like there was something else there that needed to be explored. And I think, yeah, it was diving into this crazy feeling that I had when I was that age, when, it was like, there are so many possibilities and life is so infinite, and I don't know anything about it. I'm so ill-equipped, but I want to be like my own person. I want to make my own decisions and think my own thoughts. And yeah, it was just trying to capture that feeling of exhilaration and terror that I felt when I
Well,
was a teenager.
well, and one of the interesting things that you do and can be done with a book like this, or really like most of the books that you've done, which are like one foot firmly planted in reality and one foot kind of in, I mean, for this and My Pretty Vampire, kind of the horror world, for the
Mhm.
agency, more of the one part Barbarella, one part James Bond.
Sure.
um, Maids obviously was, fact based, but it still kind of fit there.
Mhm.
Um, where like when you talk about taking in the dark places, I don't know if you're talking about the dark places of the surface, oh, I've got them in a strip club, how bad, or the dark places that you don't actually mention in the words, like mom's an alcoholic that we don't see.
Mhm.
She's working at the strip club and then hiring her own maids, and I loved how much they looked like the maids from Maids to clean up the house at home, like
Mhm.
like where there's both this deeper feeling of desperation. Oh my God, she's in a really bad place. But also that, oh, she's going and doing this stuff at this weird place so that she can improve both her place and her mom's place.
Yeah, it ended up being this kind of symbiotic relationship between heaven and everything else that,
Right.
is going on with the club and this sort of mysterious space. And it was really, my cat is chiming in. Okay. Um, it was really like, oh my God, hold on. One second. What's wrong? Okay. Um, yeah, it was like for me, the actual horror of the story is what's going on in Dolly's house. Like that,
Yeah.
there's not actually, I mean, there's horror in the strip club, of course, but
I
it's
mean,
really more about like what something is like deeply wrong. And
right.
everything going on around that is almost, to me, it's almost like set design. It's like, okay, sure,
Yeah.
when you're going through something that is, you have all these stressors and you're a child and you can't really make sense of it. The world might as well be like a haunted strip club because
I
that's,
mean, when you
you
take
know.
the vampires and the Lovecraftian horror and make them the comic relief, it says something about the world.
I think so. I think so. I think that was my teenage mindset, and it feels cool because I think it's resonating with people on that level too that are like, "Oh yeah,
Right.
that was my period of cosmic dread and I was like only 17."
Right. I feel like we went into the book almost more than I intended to right off the bat. Um, Give us the quick front counter pitch for anybody who hasn't seen Heaven yet, who hasn't like really, for my mom and brother who are listening to this podcast and like will either ask for it from their library or ask me when I'm going to drop off a copy, that sort of thing. Uh
I would
what's your
say
basic pitch for Heaven? Yeah.
I would say it's a strangely touching coming of age story about a haunted strip club.
That I think that nails it. That nails it. Um,
Thank you.
See, this is what I love about a good conversational podcast is like all of my plans have already gone out the window, but I'm gonna I'm gonna I'm
Welcome to
gonna
Thick Lines. Welcome to my
I know this
podcast.
is why I like thick lines. And that
Thank
that was
you.
actually one of the things that like made it hard for me to figure out, okay, how am I gonna like, because often like we'll fall off the rails, but like we'll talk about the books a long way on the way to talk about the rails. But I know how much you like to just talk about other comics, and I knew we were on a schedule, which is why it's like, okay, what I really need to do is I need to pull out my comics biography story or bibliography story is what I like to call it. No, biography story, not bibliography. Don't tell me about the comics you've made. Tell me about the comics that have made you.
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, I would say I would take it back to when I was about Dolly's age, the main character in Heaven. 16, 17, 18. I started going to my local comic book shop, which was Dreamscape Comics in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is where I'm from. And that was when I really started getting into the alternatives and manga. And the superhero world just kind of passed me by. I just didn't know what an in was. And
Right.
aesthetically, it didn't quite register for me for what I was looking for at that time. So I was looking at a lot of extremes, honestly, and I look back and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I was reading Ripple by Dave Cooper at the comic book store that was in the adult section. I would go to the adult section and read a little bit of it at a time before I got caught and then come back out. I was reading Pulp magazine, really getting into like offbeat new manga that was happening at that time, Secret Comics Japan. I loved the Sailor Moon comics. I love the Sailor Moon manga. And gosh, what else? Oh, I loved the Max, RIP Sam Keith. I was a huge fan of
Right.
that. Friends of the Max. I enjoy and I was buying that like as it was coming out at a certain point. And that, that's just not really my history with comics. And I always feel kind of jealous of people that are like, I was buying Electro Assassin when, it was a mini series. I'm like, what the hell? Like,
No, I bought
not
Electric
fair.
Assassin all together in
Yeah.
single issues for like $10 somehow before like I don't know before what, because like I apparently comic prices exploded in the early 2000s and I didn't know it. And I did my Frank Miller like find everything in like 97 and 98,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
which I'm
Mm-hmm.
so happy because for a long time the most I'd spent for a comic was the $20 I spent on the death of Elektra.
Okay.
And I've only beaten that by a little bit now because graphic like hardcovers, graphic novels, whole different ballgame.
Mm-hmm.
Single comics, yeah, they're supposed to be ephemeral.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Nothing
treat
better.
them better than that, but
Mm-hmm.
I have trouble spending a lot of money on them.
I get
I
that.
just want to read them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't spend
Yeah.
$1,000 on something and then take it out and read it.
Oh, no, totally. And my jealousy really just stems from the ability to get that as it was coming out,
Oh
because it
yeah,
was so fresh. I have to imagine, I have to, only kind of speculate. I wasn't there, but to me, that's just something that's so exciting. And it also felt like kind of a throwaway. They
right,
even like Miller and Sienkiewicz didn't seem to put that much stock into it in
right,
terms of, versus something like The Dark Knight, right? So
right.
I was, that stuff would come in to my periphery later, but I went to college and I was reading. I remember like literally scraping a copy of Kramer's Ergo 4 off the ground from somebody's dorm room. It was like stuck. And I remember like scraping it off, reading it, being like, the comics that always resonate with me are the ones that make me go, is this allowed? Are you allowed to do this? I just had no clue you could tell stories like this. And so that anthology was really, really exciting to me. And yeah, that kind of is what I would say like set me off on the path of like I can do indie, like just seeing the breadth of work and all these different voices and different stories, like different styles, that was really major for me. um and then yeah, and then I would say, as I got older, I'm a big fan of josei manga. I love the like, the sort of adult contemporary women's comics. Like I love Kyoko Okazaki, Moyoko Ano, Ayazawa. Yeah, and so it was really like me just picking up on all these things and just kind of being like, take what I like and leave the rest. Like I loved these sophisticated stories that these manga were telling, but I also loved how blunt and direct something like Ripple or something like Eight Ball was, where it was just so confrontational. So yeah, I think those things all just kind of stayed in my mind and formed, you know, the concept of where I wanted to start going.
Love that. I love that. And you know it so well that I didn't manage to type half of it down. So I might bug you for a list after San Diego
Absolutely.
Comic-Con. I need my new reading list, Katie. Because you mentioned enough things that I know, and I know your podcast, that sort of thing that I know we have crossover, and enough things that I didn't know that's like, oh, I need to explore that, and
Hmm.
I need to explore that.
Yeah, that's the really fun thing about doing the podcast though, because a lot of that stuff is I have never encountered it either.
Yeah,
Like this is my first time reading it, and it's been such a blessing because my comics world has expanded so much more. It's almost kind of like that original experience of going and reading Kramer's again, except I'm just not literally scraping something off the floor. I'm just talking to my friend.
right. No, I totally get that feeling as I look around a room filled with stacks of comics and boxes of comics and shelves of comics. Um,
Mhm.
because I mean, you hit on something there with I didn't know you could do that, which is
Mhm.
to me what makes comics so special
Yes,
is they're a limitless medium.
they are. They really are. And I've seen I've seen comics tell stories that I'm like, I never could have fathomed this in my life. And I
Right.
like reading Mouse. I read Mouse by Art Spiegelman when I was in the sixth
Hmm.
grade. I had a very thoughtful English teacher who loaned it to me. And I just thought, oh my God, you can do anything. You can really do anything. And not only that, but that also really like expanded my interest in 20th century history too, because I was
Right.
like, I've never seen history presented this way. And it was so personal and it's so dark and it's just relentless. And, more than like a film, it just it puts you there. And I was very, very, very impressed by that.
Well, I mean, my day job is I teach. Um, so I look at the educational side a lot. And part of it is that like you can't passively experience a comic.
Hmm.
You have to pull the words and the pictures together. Um, like you can read a book without really putting together what's being said,
Hmm.
without building the picture. I mean, for someone like me, I can't make a picture in my head to save my life. So like the more graphic the writing is, the more I'm like, okay, I really have to think about what they're trying to say here.
Hmm.
Um, and with a movie, I mean, it's incredibly easy to be passive with a movie, but beyond that, like the pacing is 100% set by somebody other than you.
Hmm.
So you can only catch as much as you catch.
True. Yes.
Whereas a comic, because you not only have the words and the pictures, but you have to provide the connective tissue
Hmm.
and you get to decide how long to spend with it.
That's very true.
Um, there's just like the possibilities become limitless. As do the like different. I mean, I think when the non comics geek public are thinking of comics, they're just thinking of the pretty pictures and whatnot. But like, I find myself thinking about, okay, how many panels did they put on the page? What is this doing to my experience? It
Totally.
took me
Oh yeah.
forever to figure out that what I loved the most about Jesse Lonergan's 1,000 panel pages that are still just one picture is that by splitting that picture into 40 panels, he's forcing you to spend time with it
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
because you're so used to scanning panels that that even when oh, this is really a splash page,
Hmm.
because it's panels, you stop and you linger in a way that you wouldn't necessarily linger on a splash page.
Yeah, I think comics is always challenging you to be a better reader too in that
Right,
respect, and
right,
I think you're touching on some good points, which is, films can be a very passive experience. And I see so many people like kind of seeking out the answers to not just film, but like art in general online. Like, what was like the meaning behind, like, what's the secret meaning or what's the lesson or whatever of, I don't know, obsession or whatever, some
right,
new movie, there's like 500
right,
video essays about it. And I'm like, well, why don't you just like sit and think like you would have to do
right,
with a comic? Like if you're reading a comic, it's probably something obscure that no one else cares about. So if you want to like solve that mystery, like what's really going on here, congratulations, you're Sherlock Holmes. Like you could be the one to crack the case, like
right,
just spend time with it, become a better reader. And that's definitely something that the podcast has challenged me to do because
right.
it's like, well, now, every week or every other week or whatever, I got to fill an hour with my amazing bon mots and insights about about whatever I just read. But that really does push you to see like, okay, well, what are the actual like defining qualities of this work? And, beyond like, what does it have to say? It's more like, how do I formally sort of analyze this? And we're also, like you, we're working in strictly audio. So we
Right.
are very uphill because it's such a visual
It
medium.
is. I like
But
that challenge. Every once in a while, I
mhm, me
think
too.
about doing more video, but it's like I kind of like the having the conversation and therefore encouraging people to go off and read it if they can't
Yeah. And
completely wrap themselves around it.
totally. And, in a way,
Mhm.
it's like you'll never, who knows, maybe you will. I don't know if I will. You'll like never necessarily break wide with that kind of approach, but
Yeah.
you are like garnering the right kind of readers in your audience too. So even if it's like a
Right.
very small number of
Yeah, I have no
people that are
idea
interested,
my audience size, but I know that cool
mhm,
people say yes when I invite them on.
there
I
you
mean, I
go.
have you on right now, you know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean I still, I worked in the art world. I worked in a lot of places where like the barrier to entry is very high and it's very
Right.
difficult. And that world was not giving me the same kind of insights that I get out of comics. Like it's
How
not as
how
enriching.
how cool is it how low the barrier of entry is in this field?
It's the American dream. Like it's the last place you
I
can
mean,
live the American dream.
it would be great if more people could actually like make a living and have that part of the American dream as well.
Hmm. Yes.
But
That's true, but I don't
but
know. I
being
mean,
part of the club is really easy.
yes, I think so. And everybody, I don't know. I like everyone has their strengths. Everyone has what they sort of bring to the table, and it's always so fun just going out and going to a show and seeing new work. Even if it's
Oh
not
yeah.
necessarily like, "Oh, I love that." It's more like, "Oh my God, like all of this ecosystem is still flourishing," and that's really exciting. And it's just
I
by sheer will, you
Yeah,
know?
I love like teeny tiny zine shows
Hmm.
because of that.
Totally.
You know, the people that like printed their comics at Kinko's this morning,
Yes.
you know,
Hmm.
or stayed late at the office to print their comics last night because
Hmm.
Kinko's was too expensive and they stapled them themselves,
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
Um, because again, yeah, I mean, when I talk to Shelley Bond, she talks about like spending time on Instagram finding the next people, which
Hmm.
I still haven't like mastered the whole scrolling thing. My brain
Yeah.
needs more structure than that.
Yeah. I love to be offline. I don't want to be. The
Yeah,
nice thing
like
about comics is that I can be as at this point, like I can be as offline as I want because I just feel like
yeah,
I'm operating in like almost a strictly physical realm. Like
right,
the books are produced. You have to go in person to buy one. Yeah.
right. I mean, it's funny. I'm actually relatively online. It's just like a very curated, very like I don't trust. It's not even I don't trust the algorithm. The algorithm doesn't get me well enough to understand me or
Right.
to interest me. I get bored scrolling. The algorithm doesn't get me. It might show me the stuff that I want to buy, but I'm not there to buy stuff. I'm there to learn stuff.
Right. Yeah, I have like an incredible algorithm right now. I don't know what I did. I'm just blessed right now. When I look at Instagram Reels, I'm getting like specifically the like craziest, smallest accounts of women who are like, I can like channel James Dean or something. Like people that are like really doing wild stuff that does not make
Oh,
any sense.
I
And
want
they have
your
two
algorithm.
views, and I'm like, I love this.
I want your algorithm.
Yeah, I don't know what I did. Somebody up there likes me and they're just sending me really good shit right now. I hope it
Right.
continues.
Um, yeah. So I mean, you talked some about how working the podcast has changed the way you look at comics. What like since I'm going to use Heaven and Pretty Little Vampires
Mhm.
as our bookends because I noticed that they're possibly books in a series. That was
There's a connection for sure.
yeah. um between those books, I mean, that's kind of the bookends of your um not your entire career, but your most public career. What do you think are some of the biggest things that you've learned and or changed your thought processes on in terms of what comics are and can be,
Mm.
and how what were the things that made you look at them differently? whether it was conversations or books or whatever.
I feel like, well, I'm not sure actually. I mean, I'm married to a cartoonist, which is helpful, and
Yeah,
we talk about comics all the time.
he's done a few worthwhile
Yeah,
comics.
I just
He
tell him to
might
stick.
be on the wall behind me.
Yeah, I just tell him to stick with it, and he'll get there, like he's
Yeah,
getting there.
one day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had Henry Barajas on recently, and we
Uh-huh.
noticed
I
that
love
we
Henry.
both, yeah. Well, he told me that he took you to a baseball game.
He
Um,
did. It was so
yeah,
fun. We had the
yeah, yeah.
best time.
But we noticed that we had the same poster over our
Oh,
shoulders.
nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, I guess, honestly, when I'm thinking about my own work, it's really difficult for me to think big picture
Okay,
because if I try to create and analyze at the same time, like it's shot, it won't happen. So
okay,
I'm into, the David Lynch school of meditation. I really just try to just focus on whatever I'm doing and get to a flow state with it. And I
okay.
have a good, I trust my flow state. When I get there, I just go with it. So I think I just am kind of absorbing things over time, and those sort of get like channeled and filtered through my subconscious or whatever is in the driver's seat there, and then
Right.
it comes out on the page. So but I'm struggling to think of like a concrete example of that.
I
But
mean, you live in a world of comics, so I knew it was a broad question. You don't have to come up with a concrete example.
I'm very fortunate in that regard, because I'm with Jaime, and then I'm out here in LA, and we have Sammy Harcum who edited Kramer's Ergot, so that's like that feels insane to be able to call
Right,
him friend, and then
right.
Stephen Weissman, who I think is so funny, great cartoonist. Jordan Crane, who's like a mad scientist when it comes to
Yep,
actually putting your book together. Beyond being a great cartoonist, there's this whole like engineering side to Jordan that
right.
really like he hits a flow state with his books and it's wild. Jazz Heiss is a new friend. She's also out here in LA. I love her work. And yeah, I just, it's a great environment to be in. I feel like I'm here. It's the right time in my life to be here. Like I turned 40 here. It just, yeah, it feels like it's a very good spot for me. So you know, I just try not to take it for granted. And I try to just like hit the drawing board and give it my all. And, you know, yeah, whatever
Well,
I've taken in will eventually come out in some way.
I mean, that's another question I always like to ask. How much do you plan your comics, and how much do they just kind of come out?
It depends. Like with maids, I knew like everything that was going to happen.
Okay,
And sometimes it just crystallizes and you're like, okay, yeah, let's go. With Heaven, that was something I started working on as I was like transitioning between New York and LA. And that was difficult because, I'm changing jobs, I'm changing locations, my entire routine is different. Where do I fit comics in? I'm also married now. I have less time to myself, which is good. Like it's good to, spend time with your partner and not just like be
it is,
bored all
it
the
is.
time.
I mean, not just because they like it, because I will say that partners tend to like it when you spend time with them, but
They love
even
it.
when you're a hermit, it turns out that being around other people is generally good for your well-being.
So good for
I
you.
have discovered. That
It
was a
really
hard
is.
lesson to learn because I like to just hole up in my room with a stack of books or my baseball video game or whatever,
Uh-huh,
But
sure. Oh my God. Well, I got into like such a funk during the pandemic because,
right,
I was still in New York, which was chaos, and I didn't see anybody that I knew for 3 months. And I just got into this place where I was like, okay, I do my job remotely now. So when I'm not doing my job, I had finished Maids already. I didn't have another comics project lined up. I would
right.
just like play Nintendo Switch, like, and just like sit
Yep,
on the couch and just like check
yep.
out, and getting out of that and coming to LA, I was surprised by how difficult it was to kind of shift out of that mode. I think that's my default state is I would love to just be like kind of checked out doing something
Yeah,
else,
well,
but it's
I mean,
not good.
I was pleased to discover that like I can quite happily like not leave the house for 3 months and not get bored.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a pleasant discovery. But then you have to not decide that that's just an okay overall life. Um,
Yeah, but the next time you have to go out, you're like, well, they get to meet the new me and I'm
right.
crazy, and that was really like I think that was what really changed things for me. I was like, I don't want to I like being with people. I want to be social. I don't want to be sequestered away. So, I've never read The Artist's Way or anything like that. I'm like semi interested in it, but I do think having routines that are like completely unrelated to your practice help the practice so much. Like,
That makes
look,
sense.
every Thursday, like I know that we go and have dinner at like this place. And so that means I'm not working that day. So I'm going to plan to like work on Friday. And then that
Right.
means that this happens. But like, if I don't socialize with someone, let's say I'm like, let me just like call Jazz and like, let's get together and get coffee or something. If I don't do that, I'm going to put myself in like a mental state of distress eventually. So let's
Right.
just do it, like let me schedule fun on my calendar so that this stuff can actually get done. And I'm very fortunate in that most of the stuff on my calendar outside of my jobby job is stuff that I want to do.
Right. I mean, you just hit the single largest problem of like making and maintaining adult friendships. You have to schedule and put them on your calendar. I mean,
Hmm.
when I learned that, and it was also the pandemic that kind of taught me that, it's like, oh, when I want to see people, I need to, there are new ways because I can talk to them on Zoom rather than in person if I have to. In
Totally.
person is often better, but if you want to have a friendship, you can't just count on bumping into each other in the hallway because once you're out of school, you don't bump into people in the hallway.
Hmm. Yeah, no,
Um,
totally, totally. And I,
which,
I think it's always worth it,
right,
And when I was in New York, it was way easier to just be when it wasn't COVID, it was way easier to just be out and about and just be like,
right.
hey, like I'm on the corner here. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm by your apartment. That was easy. LA, it's much more difficult, but
Yeah, I was supposed to say, how has that changed? Like from the city where nobody needs to own a car to the city where you
yeah.
can't get anywhere without a car?
I hate to say it, but I just took to it like water. I was like, bye,
Okay,
bye, New York. I'm done. Like, because by the time I left, it was 2021 and I had been working at that point remotely for a year anyway. And so I
right.
just kind of like lost all the muscle memory for New York. And then by the
Okay,
time things were sort of opening up again and I was going out and about, a lot of the places that I loved were gone and a lot of my friends moved away. So I was like, okay, I don't want to live in this like ghost town anymore.
right.
I'm ready to say goodbye to New York. So
Well,
LA
and
to me was like a godsend because, I'm with Jaime all the time. Like we have a great relationship. We're talking about comics. Even when we're not talking about comics, we're just talking all the time. We don't shut up.
right,
So no matter what, like there's always someone there and it's a very creative and supportive environment. And then, our friends out here, yeah, you do have to kind of go out of your way to be like, can you get together? It's July 17th. Can you get together like August 29th to
right.
have coffee for 1 hour? But you do. And then, it's like, I don't know, you have these kind of like social contracts with each other where you're like,
Right.
we all like each other and we know that this is ultimately good for us. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
very pro
No.
social.
No, no, none of that was supposed to be critical.
Hmm.
Certainly not of any one place. It was more like the things that suck about adulthood.
Hmm. Totally. Yeah, and it's so easy to just get pulled into the bog, and
Right.
that was what was
I,
happening to me at the end in New York, and I was like, I got to pull myself out of this.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why I think comics. One of the things I think makes comics work as much as so many people become disenchanted with them is the cons and the fests because it
Mm.
it like forces social interaction with each other.
Hmm.
Now, there's a huge difference between going to San Diego and going to insert name Zine Fest in Minneapolis.
Yes.
Um, but like one of the things that I'll sometimes tell friends of mine who are creators, they're like burned out on everything, is like you got to go to like a con just as a person where you're not
Hmm.
doing work. And no, don't go to San Diego just as a person. I mean, maybe go to San Diego if that's your thing, but like
You can't be a person in San Diego. I'm sorry. It's
right,
not possible.
right,
You go to Comic-Con, you're just like,
right,
I'm a cog.
right,
I'm not, yeah.
right, right. But like find the smallest library con in your area that you can
Yeah.
find and just go and talk comics with people or see what other people are doing and you'll feel better. You like the one and this gives me an opportunity to like congratulate you what 12 years after the fact for being the first emerging artist at CXC.
Well, thank
Um,
you.
that's the one that like anybody I talk to, like I'm like, oh, you got to do 60. Oh, my con schedules. I'm like, no, no, you don't get it. You need to take a weekend off and go to Columbus and just go to CXC.
Columbus is so fun too. And like I love my friend, I'm gonna shout out my friend Lauren who works at Laughing Ogre. Like there's a little world of comics there that I think is
Oh yeah,
really fun. I shouldn't say little. I
yeah.
don't mean to be pejorative. It's
I
a
mean,
it's a rich world. It has a rich tapestry, and then you have the Billie Ireland, and then yeah, of
but
course you have CXC. Like it's awesome.
like as a language nut, I'm going to say that I like your use of little, not as pejorative, but little in that like it's in the middle of an Ohio State town. Like the
Hmm.
number of people that don't know that this ecosystem exists is staggering in like the best way because it's like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm in this like galaxy-sized wonderful world and I'm out to coffee and I bring up why I'm in town and they're like, "What's that?"
Yeah, that was always like my favorite thing when I was when I would be working in New York and I'd be like, okay, I need Friday off because I have to go to like Boise, Idaho. And they'd be like, why?
Right. I mean,
And I was
I
like, I have
love
to go be a special guest at a show in Boise, Idaho. Like, I'm a celeb in Boise, Idaho. Can you guys get that through your head? Hello?
no, I remember I one of the years I was at CXC, I went out for a late night cup of coffee and I was at a coffee place that had like a graphic novel selection. I think they were
Hmm.
mostly used, that sort of thing. And like when I think I had to give my zip code or something, and they're like, well, you're not from around here. Oh, what are you in town for? And I told them, they're like, what's that? And I'm like, I just walked over to the rack and I'm like, that guy's there, that guy's there, that guy's there.
Hmm. That's awesome.
How do you not know?
Yeah.
Come to the library tomorrow. It's free.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's still something about doing shows for me. There's still something about all of it to me. It has
Yeah.
never somehow it's never gotten old. It's never been a drag. It's always been very fulfilling. And yeah, I salute everyone that is out there putting these shows together. I think doing a comic show is the most thankless job in comics.
Oh yeah. It
Like
seems
it's
like it.
gotta be. I mean, having a shop is also like up there, you
Yep.
know. And then
Particularly the shops that are like trying really, really hard to promote the medium rather than just cash in on collectibles.
yes, the indie ones that are out here like busting ass, like Partners
Right,
in Sun, Secret
right,
Headquarters, like they're not
right,
just selling the comics, they're doing talks, they're doing signings, they're doing
right,
merch.
right.
They have like social media like savvy that I don't have. It's
Me
so
neither.
cool. And it does
Thankfully,
reach
my wife
people.
handles the Instagram, or we'd have like almost no social media presence.
I get that.
I
I
go
would
to
love
Blue
to
Sky
offload all of
every
it.
Yeah, I go to Blue Sky every once in a while when a Kickstarter that I really want to fund is lagging, and I'll do math lessons.
Uh-huh.
That's the extent of my social media
That sounds like a good way
presence.
to do it. It sounds, yeah,
I
yeah.
seem pretty effective. I mean, since I started doing the math lessons, I don't think there's been and I don't want to take the credit because like lots of people do a lot more work than I do, but I don't think there's been a book that I did a math lesson for yet that didn't wind up getting across the line.
No,
And
when you say a
generally,
math lesson, what do you mean?
I mean, I'll put up things like such and such book is this far from funding. I have this many followers. You
Mm.
can get a physical copy for this many dollars. This many followers times this many dollars equals funded.
Nice. Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
good.
I'm a teacher, so like it's part of how my brain works. Like I
Hmm.
don't just look at it and I go, oh, they're $4,000 short. I was like, okay, what will it take to get to $4,000? How can I? And
Yeah.
then I share that. My wife has now turned it into actual chalkboard things for the Instagram.
Uh-huh. Cute. I like it.
Um, Reminds me, I got to do another a new one for Shelley Bond's new anthology. Subculture is still
There you go. It's
creeping
time to
towards the line.
get the
Yeah,
variables out.
that's right. I was cursed with a mathematical brain.
That's not
It's
a
good.
curse, believe me.
It's well, no, it's good sometimes, but not so much other times because we're really numeracy in this country is terrible. So sometimes like actually knowing what you're talking about just pisses people off.
Yes,
Um,
I get that.
but if you give 100, no, there's no such thing as 110%.
Right. Yes, exactly.
I mean, I once like this certainly like I was young and stupid, but like I had a manager writing me up for not focusing enough on the profit lever categories, and pointing out that this store was at 40% of this, and this store was at 40% of this, and this store was at 30% of that, and we should be number one in all of them. And I finally drew him two pie graphs on the wall like okay 40%, 40%, 30%. We've got to do 110% and we haven't sold a product yet.
Right. I love it.
You can't have 110%.
Listen, I think this is great. I think this is needed. A lot of people a lot of people have a hard time. I just did a Kickstarter and figuring out the
How did
budget.
I miss that? You got
Oh,
to
it,
tell
it
me when
was
you
for
do Kickstarters.
it was for a tarot deck. It was my
I
new
still
tarot
would have
deck.
done it.
Yeah, it's comics adjacent, but it's
Right.
that just ended the other day and we met the goal and I was like
Good.
I was doing all my little projections and stuff and I was like, "You know what? I'm going to try to raise more than I've ever tried to raise before and let's just go for it and like see if the momentum is there." And it was and I'm just like so thrilled. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I could have used someone calculating how many more people I needed.
Well,
I
you
could have had a
you
very specific messaging. I could have done it myself.
you have
And yet
now
that
talked
didn't
to me
happen.
twice, and I will reemphasize as I did the last time. Reach out anytime.
Okay. You got it. Thank you.
I
Thank
know
you.
I'm one guy in a big wide world of Katie Skelly comic book people. So like I don't expect to get to be your best friend tomorrow, but I'm available.
Okay, I got it. Got it. I'm gonna
And
next time I
Jaime and
got
I can
math.
talk baseball out the wazoo.
There you go.
I mean, that's still on my dream list. So like put in a word for me.
I will. I
He
will.
hasn't come to one of the baseball roundtables yet.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Let me see if
I
I
do
can.
them. I do them every October, and this year I did them opening day because it was my birthday, and it looks like the first full slate of games next year, assuming no lockout, will be on
Hmm.
my birthday again. So
Nice.
we might start doing two a year, baseball and comics roundtables. Just
Very
saying.
cool. Okay. I'll see if I can put it on his radar.
I mean, I'd love to talk about comics too. There is a Love and Rockets book club almost weekly. I've talked to
Yeah,
his
that is
brother
very
three
cool.
times. I've talked to his brother three times and his niece once,
Nice.
and
Natalia.
they've seemed to like me.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Beto keeps coming back.
Yes.
Um,
He's great.
yeah, he is. I know that you have to get to secret headquarters, so I'm going to roll into um, my closing questions because I don't want to have them rushed. Um, this is my almost fifth year. This is actually the 901st recording
Damn.
over 5 years of this podcast. Um, and I feel like I've entered the twilight zone.
Uh-huh.
The things that I do on a regular basis, the people that are friends of mine, the people that I text about baseball, who used to be like names in books that I treasured, not people that I thought, oh, I can just say, hey, you want to do this or whatever.
Mhm.
The conversations that I've gotten to have, the places that I've gotten to be, all because of devoting this part of my life to comics, just has blown my mind. If I never make a
Mhm.
cent off of it, it'll be more than worth it just for that, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and I find that that's true of pretty much everybody in comics. So I've started collecting stories. Tell me about a surreal experience. Just one of those things that when you think back on it, you almost have to pinch yourself. You go, was that really me that got to do that, had that happen, met that person,
Mhm.
is friends with, I mean, yeah.
There, to be honest, there are a lot, and I've
Yeah.
been very fortunate, and I've made connections that I never thought I would have made, like Darwin Cook. I was on a panel with Darwin Cook, and
Oh
this
my
was in
God.
2014, and
One of my guests yesterday would have been really, really jealous of that.
oh yeah,
I
oh,
had Elsa Chartier as part of conversation of Absolute Martian Manhunter yesterday. And
nice.
Darwin is like her absolute like holy grail comic
Yeah,
artist.
yeah. I was on a panel with him. This was like 12 years ago, and
Okay.
he read the book I had just done at the time, which was called Operation Margarine. And he on the panel, he was like, he just took over and was asking me a lot of questions about my comic, and
I
that just
love
felt
it.
like I was like, oh my god, this is unreal. That was very cool, and I love just
I'm just trying to
having that little
picture that in
story
my
with him
head.
too. I
Darwin can't
know.
cook hijacking a panel to talk to you about your comic.
Yeah. It was in a
That
bar too,
just
so we were all we were having
there's
a
no
great time.
uh, now
It's the
I'm
right environment.
yeah. Where do you have what bar had a comic panel?
This
Like
was
if they
at
still exist, they need to
TCAF.
be they
Yeah,
need
no,
to
this was
be
just like TCAF, like they had a like,
okay.
programming outside
Of
of
course it
the
was in
thing.
Canada. Of course it was in Canada.
Um, yeah, they get all the spoils, don't they? What
Yeah.
else? I mean, it's not like a an
That's
amazing
pretty good. You
story.
don't have to give me more. I
Well,
mean, you
just
can.
on the flip side of that, one time I was doing a show in Brooklyn and someone talked to me and they had a half-cooked piece of spaghetti on their shirt. And I thought that was really remarkable. I was like, how did you do that? How? It's like, that's cooked on one side and then the other side it's just that hard pasta. And it was just affixed to their shirt, like whatever, I
Was
was
it
up
was
to
it was
something.
it on purpose
Didn't seem
or
like
just
it.
there?
Did not
Okay.
seem like it. And it stayed
Okay.
with me for at least 10 years. So whoever
I
that
love
person
that.
is, I would love to hear more about you. But also, like,
Right.
I'm totally okay not knowing what was going on there, just
Right.
leaving it a
Right.
mystery.
I love it. I love it. All
Shout out
right.
to you, Pasta Man.
Yeah. So my closing question, almost since the beginning, and one of the reasons that I have so many books on the shelves and whatnot around me, tell me something you love, preferably a comic, but we don't have rules, preferably storytelling, but again with the rules, but something that you love that not enough people around you have experienced, and you'd really like them to, so you have more people to talk about it with.
Oh, that's interesting. Who, I mean, there's a lot, I would say.
I'll
I
take more
mean,
than one.
yeah. Well, I mean, I can only really think of film right now, but I know there's comic. You know what?
Film's okay.
I
Beto
would
almost
say,
always gives me film.
I would love to talk to people about the actual content of Guido Crapak's comics because I think he gets sort of pigeonholed as like, this great black and white cartoonist and an influence on Frank Miller and like their sort of fashiony comics, but his actual mode of storytelling is very strange and it's
Okay.
completely his own. It's so idiosyncratic and they can be kind of challenging to read. Like I love Crayfax, but he's not always my favorite cartoonist to read. And
Right.
I'm just curious, and he has such a huge breadth of work. I mean, he worked his entire life. So I would be curious to have other people like actually take the time, sit and read something like Emmanuel or Bianca or the Frankenstein comics and like have a conversation about what is actually in those that doesn't just rely on what the style of the comic is, because I think he was working with some very strange stuff.
Well, I mean, first, I will absolutely say that I'm always down. But second,
Mhm.
Paul Pope brought up Guido Crepax to me a couple of times, so you might have your guy there
All right,
as
we'll see.
well.
We'll see.
But if you wind up setting up a conversation with Paul Pope on thick lines to do Guido Crepax, I expect to be at least like in the peanut gallery.
You'll get a heads up for sure. For sure.
um, but yeah, no, I love that, and now it just went higher on my list because like I can't think of there's certain things where like I mean there's certain people, anything you told me was going to go high on my list, just like anything Paul tells me goes high on my list. But like
Mm-hmm.
I just got recommendations for a comic from you that I've got, not like recommendations as much as just heard him wistfully talking about, oh, I've been looking at these lately.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yes.
oh, wait, Paul and Katie are saying go check out Guido Crepax. I should go check out Guido Crepax.
Yeah, and like looking is really the active word there because again, it's
Right.
like you're not reading Crapex. You know what I mean? You're like looking at, and I'm not trying to pick on the vocabulary or anything like that. It's just
Right.
that feels like the natural extension of the way you would talk about Crapex is I'm looking
Right.
at Crapex versus
Right.
reading Crapex, which is a whole other experience.
Well, and this is where we can also plug Fanagraphics, who you can buy Heaven from, has
Mhm.
also been putting out Guido Crepax collections. So they are very much in print and very nice looking hardcovers um, for
Yeah,
people who
go
want to
read
look
a
at them.
couple thousand pages of Crapex and get back to me, and we'll see what
Yeah, well, I mean, you did bring up Frankenstein, and the Dracula Frankenstein was already kind of on my uh, radar because it's been a while since I did. I mean, you brought up Darwin Cook a minute ago. We did a roundtable years ago called Parker Across Mediums, where a
Mm,
number of us like dove in, not just to the Parker comics, but like read a couple of Parker novels, watched a number of the movies that were based off the comics, and talked about attacking the character from different perspectives.
mhm.
Um, and I've kind of been thinking that it would be fun to do that with either Frankenstein or Dracula because they're so much a part of like the ether now that like I don't even know how many people, including myself, I don't think I've actually read all the way through either of the original novels. Uh,
Mhm.
but there are movies, there are comics, everybody. You say Dracula, nobody's like, what are you talking about?
Right, right. Yeah, and I think the Frankenstein one is especially interesting because that was one of his last comics he ever did.
Okay,
So it's late in life. He died of multiple sclerosis. So it has like it's very relevant to
right.
his life. And I think it gives it this extra texture that I think is really interesting, brings a lot to it. It's rich. I think it's one of his richest.
Yeah, that that sounds fantastic, and it might be a soon read for me.
Hmm.
Um, and who knows, maybe I'll be reaching out and going, Katie, do you want to do a book club?
Yeah,
I know
I'm
that's what
down.
you do on your podcast, but do you want to come do it on my podcast?
Listen, just put a nickel in me. I don't stop. It's fine. We can talk for another 100 hours. I do
Well, no, we
apologize.
can't because you need to
That's
get
right.
down to secret headquarters. So
That's right.
for Katie Skelly, the book is Heaven, out from Fantagraphics now, and this has been 22 panels, and we will see you after the next page.